I'm going to run through all of the applications that make my travel easier, and hopefully there'll be some apps that'll make your travel easier as well. Welcome to Solo Sunday Stories, episode 6. I'm going to run through all of the applications that make my travel easier, and hopefully there'll be some apps that'll make your travel easier as well. So let's get into it. Since I've been traveling for over 15 years at this point, I've accumulated quite a few travel applications. Some I used them like for a short period of time. Others, they have weathered, time and are staples in what I use today. So I'll run through my actual tech stack. And what I want to say, I'm going to run through these. These are apps that work for me. I do not want people downloading apps that you are not going to use, or it just doesn't align with what you use or need on your trips. I utilize the apps that I'm going to run through today, but that does not mean you have to get these apps. But hopefully, you find something that I say that may be useful and you download it, try it, and love it. So I'll start with things I'd use before I leave. So I have the list because I don't want to miss anything. So if you've seen episode 3 when I discussed a scary travel moment, you understand this tidbit. But basically, in Google Maps and Apple Maps, I ensure that before I leave, I download an offline version of the destination, the city, state, country that I'm going to be in, to ensure that I don't run into any issues where I am not able to see a map and get where I need to go. And I save locations ahead of time so that I don't have to worry about anything. It's always in either of those apps. And then Google Translate. I use the Translate app in Apple, and I have Google Translate. I love having those applications because, funny story, in Paris, basically in an Uber, which is, I guess the norm, you always end up finding interesting people to talk to when you're in the cab. But we got a guy in the cab. He was a black guy, so of course he was trying to speak to us, and of course he was speaking in French. I take French. I'm not good at French at all. I'm not even going to pretend that I'm even a little bit good at French. But we were attempting to have a conversation with him in the car, and we just whipped out the Google Translate application and we were talking back and forth. He would say something in French and it'll translate it, and then we'll say something in English to respond. And I feel like that was the funniest cab ride I've ever had, because we were cracking up trying to understand each other and have a whole conversation. And I think the 20 or 30 minute ride from the park that we were at back to our accommodations. So Google Translate came in clutch. So that's a fave of mine. WhatsApp, because you're traveling internationally and you need a form of communication outside of email. WhatsApp, please download it if you don't have it, because most businesses in other countries have, sometimes chats that they send to people that are in their tours. I've had that situation when I was in Bali. I was on a food tour, and the woman doing the food tour literally was communicating with our group via WhatsApp. So WhatsApp is very useful to have. So download that and get that set up before you leave. Also your airline apps. I'm not a fan of airline apps because I'm not one of those people that I stick with one specific airline and that's the only airline I fly. So downloading the apps just becomes a hassle. I just ensure that when I have my boarding pass, I ensure that it goes in my wallet. But individual apps, I used to do it. I still have that on the list of just in case. But most times I just ensure my boarding pass is in the wallet and I bypass just the whole entire thing, because having apps and, you know, the whole data situation, I'm not a fan of having excess of applications on my phone. TripIt, I use this for a time, and I periodically use it. Basically, it consolidates your confirmations and like it builds out your itinerary, so you have your itinerary all in one place, and it allows you to see everything offline. For me, also when it comes to just having things offline, you don't want to have to rely on Wi-Fi. But if you are going to rely on Wi-Fi, this one is important. NordVPN. I use NordVPN to ensure that I have that type of protection, and I'll segue that into like staying connected and staying safe. But also with NordVPN, I have NordPass, so that all my passwords and everything are saved, and I have all of those things stored digitally. So there's that. And then I'm able to put like documents and all that stuff in NordPass, so that's useful to have digital files of your travel things on the application. Then to stay connected, so for me, I have two phones, and I get eSIMs. I get my eSIMs through Airalo. This is not sponsored. None of the applications that I discussed today are sponsored. If they want to sponsor me, I'm more than welcome to the opportunity. But Airalo, I use that. I've used that in every single vacation that I went on this year in multiple countries. I believe when I was in Europe, I just did like a Europe what's it called? A Europe pass. Previously on my Paris vacation, I got an actual just like France SIM card and put it in my second phone. So I also have that as an additional backup in my secondary phone. And then on my main phone with T-Mobile, I automatically add an international data plan, so I always have that as well. I want to ensure that all of the bases are covered when it comes to ensuring my device works and I'm able to speak to or communicate with whomever I need to while I'm on vacation, and all the folks back home, friends and family. Then for Wi-Fi, this segues back into NordVPN. When you're in your accommodations, I think it's okay to connect to the Wi-Fi. Me as a tech professional, I do not recommend people connecting to rogue Wi-Fi, like random Wi-Fi's, like cafe Wi-Fi's. I feel like are unprotected, even if they're password protected. There's just because multiple people are using it. So NordVPN comes in clutch in that situation, because you have that security barrier when you're connecting to Wi-Fi's that are not like within your accommodations or like a hotspot that you're familiar with. That is like a protection that I have for myself for VPN, and I absolutely, that's the one thing in this whole series that I recommend people invest in when it comes to your online, presence and security. So that's the one thing. And Nord, I think is, don't quote me, I think it's maybe $10 a month. On the most basic, which gets the job done if you are interested in that. But I feel like VPN is very important. Then for like navigation and transportation, for me, again, Google Maps and Apple Maps, I ensure that those are, on my phone and updated, because the apps need to be updated. So I make sure they're updated and, you know, loaded with all the things that I need. And then obviously, again, like I said before, the offline map. And then City Mapper, which has a lot of major cities. It allows for you to see real time, like closures, cancellations, and everything when it comes to the transportation in the city that you're in, which is, I feel like that's pretty dope. Because I know in the, like, for us, we have like our own city application, which is cool, but having an app that spans across like multiple countries, multiple destinations for travelers, and just having that information accessible is cool. Because if you are traveling somewhere and obviously you're going to be unfamiliar with that place, knowing which lines, which buses are, you know, canceled or, you know, have issues or closures is important, so that you can not get like further lost in the city. And then Uber and Lyft, I specifically use Uber. Most countries have Uber, so I primarily use that. When I was in Bali, I used Gojek, which is like a catch-all. And then like in Asia, they have, Southeast Asia, I believe they have Grab, and then in China is Didi. So those are the options for like local transportation and apps based on like that destination, so that you get safe rides. Because again, if it's not a legit cab company, do not get in cars. Safety first. And then we have Rome to Rio, where if you're going long distances, this can help you plan out like trains, buses, etc. to get to that from one location to the next, and it like breaks everything down very seamlessly. And then for money and banking, so I use my credit card, my Amex, because it has no foreign exchange fees, which is very important, because you don't want to be using your card and then you have these extra fees that are accruing every single time you're making a purchase. So I use that card. If you have a card with no foreign exchange fees, utilize that as your travel card. If you don't, I would say to invest in that so that you have that. Also, when traveling, I like to use a credit card over a debit card, just in case weird things happen, you know, scams and things happen anywhere, and having, you know, your bank account potentially flagged for fraud causes a whole bunch of additional issues when you're abroad and you need cash. So you to alleviate that, you know, use a credit card where you have some separation from your primary banking. Then Wise. I've been using Wise for quite some time. Excuse me. I have, I think, Japanese yen in my current Wise account. But basically, it allows you to exchange your currency for another currency, and you use that as a primary card when you are traveling. So I find that's very useful. And then you can have multiple currencies in like loaded into your account, so you don't have to just have one currency. I have pound and Japanese yen. Is it yen? Don't quote me. But that's what I have in Wise right now, and obviously USD. But I have those, and you're able to do that, and I feel like that is really dope. And mine's, I think right now they no longer allow for a physical card, but when I got Wise, there was a physical card, and I still have the physical card, and they send me the new ones when it gets upgraded, because I've already had it. And then you have the digital card that you can obviously put in your phone wallet and use it like that. So that's useful. I use the XE currency converter, because the way the USD conversion to, like, for me recently into euro and pound has made me realize that I was just ending up spending more money because of the conversion. But it was useful to have, so that I was able to just like be able to tally everything in USD. So that's a very useful application, and also it allows for offline mode, so that's a good one. SplitWise, I haven't used it in a while because I've been going on a lot of solo travel, but when I'm traveling with other people, SplitWise actually works well to like consolidate, all shared expenses, and then being able to, have everyone track what we need to split over the duration of the trip, so that we can ensure that people get their money back at the end of the trip. So SplitWise, and then ensure for banking also, ensure that you let your bank and your credit cards know that you are traveling abroad, and have notifications and everything, because again, the potential for fraud or being flagged for fraud is high when you are somewhere else, and you should just let them know, so that and then like the duration, so that they don't flag your account and then like restrict you, and you have to worry about calling customer service and doing all of those things while you're on vacation. Then accommodation and booking. I still have the Airbnb app. When I'm solo traveling, I don't actually use Airbnb for accommodations. However, I've utilized their experiences. In my last Mexico City trip, I actually used the Airbnb app to book my hot air balloon activity. So it's very useful for like a multitude of things. So Airbnb is my accommodation and booking app. I have Expedia, obviously, because I want to look up hotels and all of those things, and like I also look up activities on that app. And I also have Viator, so that's my accommodations and booking for my activities and everything. I also have Hotel Tonight on my phone as a backup. So I don't know about you, but I've ran into an issue way back when, that I booked an Airbnb, and at the last minute the owner canceled the reservation, and then I had to figure out alternative accommodations. And this was early on when I was traveling, and Airbnb and their whole complicated situation with customer service and all that jazz. So I had to find other accommodations. So Hotel Tonight is something that I have on my phone as a backup for alternative accommodations for like last minute deals, because you can go on Expedia and get a hotel, but on Hotels Tonight, obviously you get specials because hotels are trying to get people into their accommodations, so they give you like good percentages off of the overall nightly fee. So I have that. And then for safety and emergencies, I use the Find My iPhone application, and I share my location with my parents and my brother and my friend. So somebody knows where I am when I am traveling. So I think that's important. Not everybody is comfortable sharing their location. I don't have an issue sharing my location because I'm only sharing it to less than roughly about 5 people. So that's for you to decide whether or not you want to do that, but that is an option. And then Step, so they have the Smart Traveler app, so it allows you to get travel alerts. It gives you like emergency contact information, and like you basically register with the embassy, and like you get alerts if anything changes in the destination you are in. So I find that to be useful, so that you can have real-time information if anything changes, because unrest can happen, or like random things that can put you at risk. The State Department obviously updates that so that people get information regarding whatever destination they register with the application. And then I also ensure that I have my documents saved offline, and I print them out. So passport, my travel insurance, the like my emergency contacts, because I don't know about y'all, but I don't know everybody's number. Her only person's number I know by heart is my parents, and like that is it. So anybody else that I need, I have their number down as a backup. So I have a physical, like it's written down, so that I have that information for people. And I always have multiple copies of my passport, because you don't want to run into an issue where you end up being somewhere, you lose your passport, or your passport is stolen, and then like you have to go about the whole process of getting a temporary passport to go home. So just having that readily available. So I have multiple copies in multiple places, so I always have it. And then of course in email and in my iCloud. Then speaking of iCloud, when it comes to photos, your travel photos, I ensure that my iCloud auto backs up to ensure that I never lose my my photos in case my phone gets lost, broken, stolen, whatever. My photos get uploaded to the cloud. Alternatively, if you are interested in having something outside of your phone's native like backup, you can use Google Photos for your photos and videos, so that's an option. I used them before, but right now at this point I just use iCloud for just to simplify everything. Also, when it comes to emergencies and safety and security, ensure that you have emergency numbers saved. So just because our number is 911 for emergencies does not mean that it's the same for whatever location you're going. Ensure that you know what those numbers are. Sometimes they're separate. Police and fire might be separate, so ensure you have those numbers. Ensure you have the embassy numbers, so that you have that information readily available. And then if you have also for credit cards, ensure you have your credit card's international number saved also. This is in the case that, like, if you have an issue and you have your physical, credit card, you don't have to worry about it. This is in the instance if your wallet is lost or if you are robbed, that you can call and cancel your card or restrict your card without having to hassle with trying to find the appropriate number to call and do all of that stuff. So if you already have it, accessible to you, that's one step that you just have to like skip over. Then for content creation, obviously, for photo editing, I use Visco, and sometimes just like the native, like if I'm in TikTok or if I'm in Instagram, I'll do native. I'll use the native editing, features within the application itself. When it comes to video editing, I use Final Cut Pro for iPad. I have Final Cut Pro on my computer, but I obviously travel with my iPad more so than my computer, so I'll use Final Cut Pro on my iPad. Sometimes I'll use CapCut, just depending on what type of video I'm trying to do. And those are the two things. And then scheduling my social media posts and everything I have later. So that's useful, and like it allows me to, schedule everything, and I don't have to worry about posting in real time. And again, when you're traveling, you should be posting in real time, at least a delay of 24 to 48 hours for safety purposes, just an FYI. And then for storage, like I said in my previous video, I have this Lacy external hard drive that I use for storage purposes, and then obviously my iCloud backup. But I have two of those, a 1 terabyte and a 2 terabyte, and I have one for documents and the other is for my photos and videos, to ensure that they're separate. So I have those. You don't have to invest in this, but I like having an external drive so that I can just like plug and play and then have all of those things separate from iCloud. And then for language and culture, so Duolingo. utilize Duolingo so you know how to say hello, goodbye, thank you, and please and thank you and all of those things, so that you can be polite, because most people are not expecting tourists to know the language, but being polite and knowing like the most basic words is important. So Duolingo comes in clutch, and it's, you know, I think it's still free. I also, because I'm trying to learn a language, multiple languages, I use Lingoda for language, and that's for, you know, a little bit more in depth of learning languages. And it's like a Zoom class that you're with a teacher and you're working through an actual curriculum to learn the language in real time, and you are speaking in that language in class. You can speak in English so that you can like clarify things, but the teacher wants you to speak in the language that you are learning. So I think that's dope, and it helps you learn faster, I guess. But I'm still terrible at my Spanish and French, so I'm working on that. Then Translate. I have the Apple Translate application, and I have Google Translate. So both of those, literally, like I just said with the cab driver, those come in clutch. And I love also that they have the feature that if you have a physical thing or like a sign or something like that, you can actually take a picture of the thing you need to translate, and it'll translate from the photo. And I had that happen to me when I was in Portugal. I got sick and I had to go to the pharmacy, and I used Google Translate with the pharmacist so that I can get medication. And then obviously once I bought everything, I came back and I was like literally taking pictures of the directions to ensure that I was taking the medication as I was supposed to. So Google Translate, always have it. And then Atlas Obscura. It gives you basically like activities and local experiences that you can do in multiple destinations. I think it's really dope that there's a place online and in the application that has this really in-depth consolidated list of things that you can do in whatever city that you are going to be visiting. So you can try really nuanced things, and it like opens up your options to not just the basic things that you see online, or you know, in the like apps like Viator, you have these things that you have a list of things to try, or like places to go within within Atlas Obscura that you probably wouldn't see unless you're like really researching like that destination. So that's dope to have that all in one place. And what I do not use, I don't use packing apps. I don't have too many planning apps, like I said, because I don't like a whole bunch of apps that I'm not going to be using regularly to be on my phone. I don't have a portable Wi-Fi device or like a hotspot or anything like that. I literally just use an eSIM, and then I get my additional data plan on my main phone. And then translation earbuds, I don't have those, but I love that Apple has now allowed for translation for AirPods. I haven't checked, so I need to double check whether or not my AirPods will allow me to utilize the new translation feature, because I would absolutely love that. And then just to recap all of these things, I want you to take, you know, all of these apps that I've suggested or talked about, because these are the things that I utilize, and figure out what works for you. Keep it simple, and then only utilize what is essential to your needs. You don't have to get all of the applications. The one application that I absolutely recommend getting is Nord, and if you're not going to get Nord, research another VPN application and get that application, because VPN is important, especially when you need to connect to the internet, thing like that. Protecting your devices is important. And then one tidbit is to always test all of your applications before you leave on your vacation. Don't walk out and then realize that you didn't do setup and you're trying to figure out how to do setup via Wi-Fi. Just do the setup in your country, and then, or in your house connected to your Wi-Fi, and ensure everything works before you leave. Again, like the whole situation with me with Google Maps, and not having that map in offline mode when we had that issue in Amsterdam. Now I know that that's one step that I must do before any of my vacations. And these are all the apps. Yeah, I don't have any other apps, but comment down below like your must-have or favorite application that you use on your travel vacations, because I would be absolutely interested in finding new ones that are useful that I just don't know about. Also, I'll leave the link for my NordVPN referral so that you guys have that. But again, hope this helps. I hope you find one of these applications useful and you end up using it on your next vacation. So I will see you guys in the next episode. You guys have a great evening.